Our today's lecture number 1. Chapter 1. Scientific Process and Measurement. Lesson 1. Page number 2 to 3.
Look at the picture. This is your science book. So open it and open your CW copy to write important notes from today's lecture. You have been learning science from your childhood, right? Have you ever thought, what is science? Okay, let me explain. After completing the lesson, you will be able to explain about science, explain about scientific process and experiment, and also explain the various steps of scientific process. So my dear students, all of you be attentive in the class and watch this video that you can understand all the topics properly. So let's go for the class. Early human learned that fire could be made by striking two stones against each other. They started using fire for their protection from wild animals. Then they became fond of cooked food and started eating cooked food. Finally, early human invented fire, and the use of fire was man's first step towards progress. It was an application of science, but they did not know about this matter. So, from this information, we can understand that science is a special kind of knowledge. We read Bangla, English, story, poems. These are all fiction. But science is the real knowledge of everything around us. It is the logical explanation of various natural phenomena. So, we can say science is a special kind of knowledge related to nature and natural phenomena. Now question, what is natural phenomena? Natural phenomenon is any observable, measurable, repeated event that occur naturally. If I give you example, then you will understand about the natural phenomena. Look at the picture. In the first picture, you are watching that plant is growing. It is occur naturally. Then rainfall in the second picture, and in the third picture you are watching tidal flow. So these are happened naturally. That's why these can be called natural phenomena. Have you understood, my dear students? But any information related to nature is not science. If someone gives an imaginative explanation of a natural happening, that may not be considered as science. That explanation needs to be validated through experiments or observations. Hence, scientific explanations must be supported by information gathered through the process of systematic experiment or observation. Okay, let me explain about it. In the first picture, look at first picture, you have seen clouds in the sky. Some say clouds are like snow. Some say they are like cotton. These are imaginary knowledge which has no real basis. It is not science. Now look at the second picture. What you are watching? Yes, this is rainfall. The picture of rainfall. Water vapor turns into clouds when it cools and condenses. Then it turns back to the ground as water droplets. It is a knowledge that occurs through processes of science. So, we can define science that science is the knowledge related to nature and natural phenomena which is obtained through observations and experiments or supported by experimental data and a science-oriented view. And hope all of you understood about science. Please read the books properly for better understanding. Okay? Now question. Is there any process to acquire the knowledge of science? The answer is yes. There is a scientific process which can be called scientific method. Now, let me explain about this process. Scientific method is an organized way that helps anyone to answer a question or begin to solve a problem. So, the scientific method involves a series of steps that are used to investigate a natural occurrence. Here is given the flowchart. To acquire knowledge of science, we need to follow these steps of scientific process. So, my dear students, now I am explaining about this flowchart of scientific process. First step, selecting question. First, we need to select any problem or question for gathering the knowledge of science. Second step is collecting information. Third step, probable result or hypothesis. Fourth number steps, planning of experiment and observation methods and preparing tools. 5. Process or observation and data collection. 6. Process, analysis of collected data. And then 7th process, acceptance and rejection of results. And the last process is dissemination of findings. So, my dear students, you have to follow these steps one by one to acquire knowledge of science. Now, I will discuss in details this scientific process step by step. And remember one thing, when you write about this flowchart, obviously you have to write these steps properly one by one. And you have to show by this arrow sign all the steps of science which is given in this picture. So you have to follow like this. And you can also follow your book. It is given properly about the flowchart of steps of scientific process. Now I am discussing steps of scientific process in details. So, our first process is selecting question or problem. That means develop a question or problem that can be solved through experiment. So, I am giving an example. Example. My problem is like that, or my question is that, can water dissolve all substance? Let's do the experiment by following scientific process or method. Step number 2, collecting information. Make observations and research your topic of interest. You can collect information from your parents, teacher. Suppose after asking question to your teacher told that no, water can't dissolve all substance. Now you have to observe and research on this topic to get the correct answer. Okay? Third number step, probable result or hypothesis. Hypothesis means predict a possible answer to the problem or question. Suppose your prediction can be similar to the opinion of your teacher. So your hypothesis will be water can't dissolve all substance. Let's do the experiment. After experiment, we can get result, isn't it? Step number 4, planning of experiment and observation methods and preparing tools for data collection. That means it is about develop and follow a procedure. So, to do this experiment, first you need to make a plan. To do this experiment, you can take 5 or 6 glasses of water. Then mix some sugars, salt, glucose, sand, flour with the water properly. Then observe what will happen. So, after mixing these materials, you can observe and then you can do the experiment. Have you understood? Step number 5, observation and data collection. In this step, you have to include a detailed materials list. The outcome must be measurable. In this step, you need to observe the mixtures of sugar and water. In the first picture, what are you watching? Yes, dissolving of sugar in water. So when you pour sugar in the water, after stirring, this sugar will be dissolved properly in the water. Next, you can pour salt in the water. What are you watching in the second picture? Yes, dissolving of salt in water. That means salt also can dissolve in the water, right? And in the third picture you are watching, sand also mixed with water, but it is not mixing properly. Some portion of sand are floating on the water and other portion remain as a sediment of the bottom of the glass. That means sand is not dissolving in the water. So you have to collect this data and you have to keep this data yourself for observing next. Okay? 6 number step, analysis collected data. So here you can modify the procedure if needed. For analyzing, you can add more different substances in water like flour. Look at the picture. What you are watching? Yes, flour, it is mixed with water, but when keep it at rest, this mixture, then you can see some portions are floating on the water and some portions remain on the bottom of the glass or any pot, isn't it? That means flour is not dissolving in water. In this way, you can analyze collected data. Step number 7, acceptance or rejection of result. So result can be accepted or can be rejected. So confirm the result by retesting. Include tables, graphs and photographs. So already we have done an experiment and we used water, some materials like sugar, salt, sand and flour. And also you have already observed that sugar and salts are dissolved in the water, but sand and flour are not dissolving in water. So that means from this observation you can take any decision what you want to publish about your experiment. So which is acceptable? If you get any unacceptable, any result, then you can remove that result. You need to take only which is accepted. Have you understood? So here you can draw figure, you can give diagram, and also you can preserve this collected data and informations. The last step of scientific process and method is dissemination of findings. So here you need to include a statement that accepts or rejects the hypothesis and published the result. So your hypothesis was water can't dissolve all substances. So your hypothesis was correct. So now you have to publish your experiment. You can publish in the school, you can talk to your teacher, then you can publish about the experiment in details by following this step of scientific process. Suppose this is your classroom, so you can publish the result of experiment in this way. You can attach some pictures, or you can give a flow chart, or also you can use any poster paper for publishing this result of experiment that everyone can see about the experiment. Hope all of you have understood about the scientific process properly. Now, time to write related questions. What I discussed today, from that discussion, you will write some related questions. Okay? Then you will prepare the answers of this related question. Number 1. Define. A. Knowledge. B. Science. And C. Scientific process. That means you have to write only definition of this topic. And in definition, there will be 1 mark. So, only definition if you write, then you will get 1 mark. Okay? Number 2. What do you understand by science? Explain. This question can be for 2 marks or 3 marks. And 3 number question, explain the steps of scientific process in a flow chart. Here, you need to explain about the flow chart. It can be for 3 marks. So now, my dear students, I will discuss about the answers of these related questions. Our first question was, what is knowledge? You can write definition like this. Knowledge is information related to something. That means imagination is not called knowledge, but findings, information of your imaginary is called knowledge. So you can write only definition. Okay? Second question is, what is science? Already I have discussed about science, isn't it? But again I want to tell you that how you can define science. Science is a special kind of knowledge related to nature and natural phenomena, which can be acquired through experiments, analysis, observations, and logical thinking. So, if you write like this, then the definition will be correct. Question number 1C. What is scientific process? So here you can write definition. Scientific process involves a series of steps that helps anyone to answer a question or begin to solve a problem. That means already you have seen a flow chart of scientific process. There is some steps. If you do any experiment by following these steps, then you can find out knowledge about any natural happened, or you can find out question answer if you have any problem. So this method is called scientific process. Question number 2. What do you understand by science? Explain. So this question can become for 2 marks. So here you can write definition with an example for getting 2 marks. Okay. So already I have told how to write definition. Science is a special kind of knowledge related to nature and natural phenomena which can be acquired through experiments, analysis, observations and logical thinking. And as an example you can give like origins of rainfall. About origins of rainfall. Actually, water vapor turns into clouds when it cools and condenses and then turns back to the ground as water droplets. It is natural phenomena, but I can explain as a scientific method, isn't it? So that's why origins of rainfall, it is included in science. Have you understood? Question number 3. Explain the steps of scientific process in a flowchart. So here you can get this question for 3 marks. So you have to write definition of scientific process, then you can write some information about this scientific method. After that you will explain this flowchart what is given here. And already I have shown this flowchart and also it is given in your book. My dear students, you have to practice to write this flowchart in this way that one step come from the another step and the sequence will be correct. Like first one it is written selecting question, then collecting information, then your hypothesis, then planning for the experiment, observation method and preparing tools, and also next step observation and data collection, and then next step analysis of collected data, and next step will be acceptance and rejection of results, and last step will be dissemination of findings. So my dear students, you have to follow this flow chart properly and you have to practice it. Thank you all. Please watch this video class attentively and study for learning.